For me was a very touching and meaningful experience of communion together, the taking of the bread and the drinking of the fruit of the vine. It touched me so very deeply. And in doing so, we follow that rite, that ceremony, that ritual to come into communion with our source, God, the divine, that essence and energy that moves through all creation and all beings. And in doing that, we celebrate that each Easter. It's considered the Last Supper, the beginning of the final days and hours of the life of Jesus. And we know what came after that Last Supper, the communion. Came the crucifixion, the symbolic dying to this world. And what, of course, makes that Easter story so magnificent, so memorable, so impactful to our lives is what happened next, the resurrection. So today, this final week of the book, The Universal Christ by Father Richard Rohr, I hope we all accept this invitation that Richard Rohr extended to us, and that invitation is to view the resurrection beyond a one-time miracle experience for Jesus, and for Jesus alone. Beyond that phenomenon, beyond that miracle of the day, rather we can view this resurrection as an evolution of our beingness, an evolution of our souls. It's an ongoing experience, this resurrection. It's a phase of evolution for us mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. There's everything about us that resurrects. So each time we're willing to lay down an idea that we've conjured in our own mind, that society has told us, that our traditional institutions have told us was the way it was, but our divine wisdom tells us and teaches us otherwise. Every time we're willing to lay that down, we make room for a divinely inspired truth. That which comes from spirit. When we allow those old ideas to drift away, we make room for divine truth. That, my friends, is resurrection, a rising of divine truth in our internal wisdom. So the juxtaposition of preparing this lesson about resurrection, which is typically a part of our Easter story, it was really interesting as I visited stores that were just dripping in Christmas, the celebration of the birth. And then I realized, what is resurrection if not a birth? Resurrection is a rebirth of our spiritual self in the world. So in thinking of resurrection as an ongoing process, it allows me to relax, to be at ease, to allow the story of crucifixion and resurrection to be something true and palpable for my own life. I don't have to leave it in the Bible. I don't have to leave it in history. I can make it alive every day. It's thinking of it as an ongoing process, And Richard Rohr references St. Maximus the Confessor when it says, in Jesus the Christ was revealed as every human in their state of fullness. In Jesus, that Christ consciousness was revealed just as it is in the fullness of all of us. We all have that divine Christ consciousness as part of us. In fact, it is us. That's our truth. That's what we have forgotten. And we talked this morning. That's why Jesus came, to remind us of all of this. And then later, St. Gregory says, God revealed the Christ in Jesus so that humanity could never be separate from the pattern that he portrayed. Oh my! That Christ consciousness evolved from Jesus so that we could be reminded and never feel separate from that pattern of the Christ consciousness that lived as Jesus. And for me, that's the pattern of perfection that I aspire to. Oh, I fall very short of that every day, but I aspire to that. We all aspire to that better part of ourself, the divine of ourself. And for me, that's the pattern of recognizing that Christ that lives in me and as me. When I allow that to be present, to express. And for me, that's the recognition of the divine in everyone and in everything. In every blade of grass and in every human walking this earth. For me, it's seeking communion and union with my source. Not just this God that's moving out here, but that which is deep within me, deeply seated within me. It takes my breath away to think that that is me, that has the potential to express as me. And for me, it's remembering that in union with God, I am in union with all that is. Every tree that I hug on my walk, every stone that I step on, every animal, every plant, every human being, I am that. That is me. Ooh, let that sink in. And resurrection, says Richard Rohr, is another word for change. A positive change. A change that we see in the long view. Because when we look at resurrection in the short view, it looks like death. Just as it did as the death of Jesus. But resurrection is that long view, that patiently waiting and that rising and seeing the good. Life doesn't end, life changes, says Richard Rohr. And at this resurrection experience, Jesus of Nazareth, the babe born in Bethlehem, was revealed as that eternal Christ, inclusive of all, exclusive of none. That was what was revealed in resurrection. And by Jesus living so very honestly his humanness with the same struggles as everyone else, calling up the same faith that everyone else has, feeling the weakness just as everyone else did, and being tested in life just as everyone else is. Jesus living that very human came to know what life is like for us and showed us how we can transcend that. And by dying to that human self and experiencing that resurrected as spirit, Jesus serves as our example, our teacher, our model, our template. And when we give up a need to prove the existence of God, the existence of Jesus, when we release that desire in us for scientific evidence and formulas that, yes, God exists or no, God doesn't, we can just relax and be in the mystery of it. Be in the mastery of it. The magical aspect of it. And when I thought that, that's when I think of everything that had to move and shift and shape for every single person to be here. For all this beauty that surrounds us to happen. And to have this one space on the planet where it's happening. And everywhere else on the planet where good is showing up. And there's so many places. And when we live that ease and the mystery and the magic of it all, then all of life becomes possible. Everything falls into the field of possibility. There are no limits. So I will, as Father Rohr does in his book, I'll share the words of Derek Walcott, a respected poet who in 1992 received the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature. And he writes this beautiful poem, Love After Love. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and with each smile at the other's welcome. And say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart. Give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you. All your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit. Feast on your life. Beautiful. And the final words in the book from Father Richard Rohr is, I hope this book helped you to experience and to know that the Christ, you, and every stranger are all the same gazing. So it is. A beautiful...